go. There we are. So Matthew, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Matthew Martin. I am the founder of Madam Media and Marketing, a full service marketing digital partner kind of thing for small businesses that are growing and in that growth phase. I am located in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I go to the First Pentecostal Church of North Little Rock, Pastor Nathan Holmes. And then I also help with the Apostolic Chamber of Commerce with the marketing piece of things that we do here. So glad to be here today.
All right. Leanne, why don't you go ahead next?
Hi, Leanne Grant from Quebec City, president of Nonprofit Translation Solutions. Our mission is to create an apostolic library in every language through translation. We also help with editing and publishing on Amazon.
All right. Kaylee.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Chivers. I'm an intern for the Apostolic Legal Association. I'm an aspiring pre-law student, and I live in Austin, Texas, and attend Harvest Hills Church.
All right, glad to have you on here for the first time. Adam.
My name is Adam Nelson. I live in the Atlanta area. Atlanta West Pentecostal Church is where I go. I own a marketing agency, I guess. I own several different ones, but the marketing agency with helping small to medium-sized businesses grow and get noticed in their local area. So very similar to probably what Matthew does.
All right. Let's see here. Crystal.
Hello, I am Crystal Serini. I am currently in the DFW area. Go to Way of Life in Hearst. So I'm here for two companies, my own, Mentivo Wellness. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I'm also a mental health counselor with Concierge Counseling Service, and we're all apostolic counselors at Concierge.
Okay, awesome. Let's see who's next here. Stefan.
Yes, Stephen Bennett.
I'm sorry. Okay, Stephen.
It's all right. I wear several hats. I'm a resource efficiency manager working for a federal contractor at the U.S. Army in Honolulu. I am a part of the PCI. I've been with Global Missions for 25 years in the Middle East before going this direction. And I travel around the Pacific on behalf of the U.S. Army, and also to meet with our apostolic brethren and speak in that area. In addition to that, I've graduated from film school and a year of AI filmmaking, documentary making, animation. And I'm developing a series on called The Weaver of the Loom, which deals with 7 stories about what happens after the New Jerusalem has set down and the lake of fire is no longer needed, and what happens next. And we look at it through the eyes of a historian whose task is to be a weaver, and another one is a cartographer who gets to map out the heavens, a seer who was an unborn child that never really had a chance to live on earth, but gets to share her insight with the way things are. So we're developing that world and the characters and writing it like a screenplay. So I may do some previews in AI.
Interesting. All right. Trisha, I think you're next on my screen.
Hi, wasn't expecting to be on camera. I'm at the dog park with my dogs.
That's okay. We understand.
My name is Patricia Glasgow. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I attend Stello Church with Pastor Devin Akers, and my business is Hello Sunday Printing, and we do signage and printing for church planters primarily, but also for conferences for all you guys, for primarily apostolic churches. We're excited about that.
All right. Did I miss anyone? I don't think I did. Okay, looks like we've got about 9 people on here. All right, let's see here. So then with that being said, we're gonna get right to our guest speaker. So John Darby's going to come on and he's going to introduce our guest, and then we'll let him talk to us. And of course, if there's questions or answers, somebody can put them in the chat. We'll try to bring it up and things like that. So go ahead, John.
Oh, got to unmute. Sorry. Well, thank you, Chrisanne. I'm excited to be here today with the first in our series on what we're calling an interview with a successful apostolic entrepreneur. Before I get to that, though, some late breaking news. Want to get on your radar. We're starting the planning of an in-person entrepreneur conference this fall. I think we're probably shooting for sometime in October in the Nashville area. And so just as you think about all the conferences you're going to this year, save a little bit of time and a little bit of budget for that one, but we'll get you details as they develop. I'm really excited to be here with Taylor Kovar. Taylor is he's apostolic and he's an entrepreneur, but the reason Taylor's here today is because I have put on him the moniker of being successful. What goes into that is, first of all, what does Taylor do? My wife asked the question after having met you. I think we met or she met you for the first time at General Conference, and what does Taylor do? And I said, Taylor's a mogul. That's the best way I can.
Very loose term.
That's the best I can describe it. With some successful businesses in healthcare back office, on the retail space. Probably most importantly for me, he's got a coffee shop because I love coffee.
I do.
But predominantly right now runs a wealth management firm out in Lubbock's what's coming to mind, but you're the other way. Lubbock, kind of the same thing. Yeah. Only 12 hours apart or something crazy like that. But I think that one of the things that impresses me or that gets me excited about is the times that when I go and Google you and I find you on Forbes and MSNBC and I think the 700 Club. Have you made the 700 Club?
I tried.
Yeah,
okay. Like 701.
Okay, the 701 Club.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm still at the 680 Club. So, I'm excited to have you and hear your thoughts on that intersection of our faith and realizing that just because I'm on my way to heaven doesn't mean I can't be successful here.
Yeah.
And so I want to start off with just a really basic question. I've put that moniker on you of said you're successful, and what does that mean to you? What is success mean to you?
It's different for everybody. I think success, depending on who you ask, is going to be different.
I'm asking you.
You're asking me. I'm sure you're asking me. So success to me, I felt rich and like a baller, right? If we can just be really casual, like teenagers, right? No, I felt like a man the first time I was able to go to HEB and not look at the prices.
Okay.
Right. So that was it. Like that was success.
Which incidentally, I've had that experience at the dollar store.
Oh, well, I mean,
But so I appreciate that.
You're there, right? So it's there. So like to me, that was really I say that jokingly, but I love grocery shopping. We just got back from several countries in Europe, and I went to a grocery store in every one of them. Like, I enjoy that experience. But no, that's when I really felt like I had made it. Right? And it wasn't because I had X number of dollars in my savings. I obviously had some kind of money in the bank, but it wasn't like, oh, I've become a millionaire or 10 million or whatever.
It wasn't a dollar amount.
It was the freedom to say, oh, I can go to the grocery store and really, it doesn't matter if I get the generic or the name brand or just something that looks interesting. And so that was my first big step, I think, to where I felt as successful or success. The second was really where I was able to get to the point where I consider work optional, where it's not so much that I don't have to work, but I don't have to be in the office. So maybe office optional, right? So I can come and hang out with John Darby at the beach, right? And look at this beautiful view and have meetings. And I don't have to be tied to my desk. And so that was probably the next big level of success, in my opinion. What success was having the time and freedom to do what I feel like God wants me to do.
Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna get really transparent here. Are you rich? I've been asking these questions yet, so.
Compared to you, no, not at all. Not at all.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does being rich even mean?
So I get this a lot when I start a financial planner, right?
Uh-huh.
So I get a lot of questions about rich and wealth. I like to frame it as wealth, and to me, wealth is freedom.
Okay.
I can introduce you to people who have $1 billion, literally, and aren't happy, right? They're still stressed and high blood pressure and all these things, and still grinding it out. And I can introduce people who are really, I wouldn't say poor, but less well off, who are very happy and at peace, right? And so for me, I like that happy medium. I don't have to be a billionaire, right? I don't have to be. I'd like to be, but I don't have to be. But to me, it is really more of that peace. So I think when you know the best things in life are free, I do think that's true. So I am rich in the capacity where I can go spend time with my family. I can go to HEB without looking up at the prices. If my kids really want to go somewhere for vacation, for the most part, we can make it happen in some capacity, right? Not even tomorrow, but in some capacity. And so, I would consider myself rich in life.
All right. So my definition of rich is somebody who makes more than I do, because it doesn't matter what setting you're in. And so for me, I can say no, because by definition, it's somebody who makes more than me. And so it strikes me that for many of us as we're on that journey, there is a preconceived notion that is a number. And so I love your definition of the fact that you if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy when you hit that number. You're not going to be happy when you get that title, when you get that promotion. And so that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not a giver now, right? You're not a giver when it hurts. You're going to be a giver when you have a lot of money. And it's just statistically and what I've seen in my experience.
Yeah, very good. I appreciate that. So when I say so let me ask you, what does it mean to you when I ask about how you run, or what does it mean to run your business apostolically? So, one of my favorite statements I've heard on that thought process comes from a rapper, NF, who probably, I don't know, a good majority of his music is about his relationship with God and would be considered Christian. And he makes the statement that he's not a Christian rapper. He's a rapper who's a Christian. And he says, no more than the plumber that comes into your house isn't a Christian plumber. He's a plumber that happens to be Christian. Tell me about how that works throughout your business.
For me, it's really trying to be the example, right? And that's something I talk about a lot, and I try to practice is setting the example. Somebody has to be the example in the organization. And from being the example, when I look at the ultimate example of a leader, I look at Jesus Christ, right? And he came to earth to be a servant. And so we actually have in our offices on the wall, only servants go to heaven. Because to me, that is the ultimate example of what a leader should be, right? It's not so much literally laying down your life, right, for your employees, but how are we here to serve others? And so when I look at being a Christian entrepreneur, an entrepreneur that's Christian, right, kingdom-minded, yes, I think there is a giving component of that, whether it's time, financially, resources, training, education, but I think more so than that, it's really being an example and serving others. I go to my coffee shop and I have several businesses, but I go in there and if there's trash on the floor, it's very easy to say, hey, listen, this should have been picked up. Why is there trash on the floor? It's also just easy for me to scoop down and pick up, throw it away, right? I have to do that. And so for me, that's a big part of it. It's how I talk, how I interact. It's do as I do, not do as I say. And to me, that's probably the biggest component of being a Christian entrepreneur. It's a lot more than lip service.
Great. So somewhat young, I'll say relatively young, I would say, to the amount of experience that you have, right? You've got a very full resume that's impressive. Tell me about what's the biggest mistake. Well, I mean, say that again. Tell me about the mistake that you made that you learned the most from.
Learning opportunities, right? What we call them in the office, learning opportunities. Going with my kids too, I drove the learning opportunity. I think for me, it was getting into things I didn't know I was doing. I didn't fully understand, but I was like, oh, it's a great way to make money. It's an opportunity. We got to move fast. We just got to go. Right? We got to do it. And there's been a few times in life where I have jumped into something when I wasn't fully prepared. I didn't know all the details. One of my favorite books is called The Richest Man in Babylon. amazing book. It's free online because it's been out forever and 100 years. But there's in it, he tells a story of a guy who raised some money and wanted to get rich. So he gave his money to a brick maker to go overseas and buy diamonds, right? Okay. And he's telling his buddy, like, I'm gonna be loaded in a few months with this guy. He's got these diamonds. And the guy's like, you idiot. Why are you giving away to a brick maker to go buy diamonds, right? He's a brick maker. And sure enough, he lost all of his money because the brick maker didn't know what diamond were. He bought glass. And I see that sometimes with a lot of entrepreneurs. We just, let's jump. We see an opportunity, let's jump into something. We don't really know what we're doing. And usually that comes back to fighting in the rear. And so that's happened more than once, and they're big learning opportunities. And they get really expensive. Okay. So,
and we'll link to that book in the notes on this. So thank you for sharing that. So how do you balance what I will call the risk of business with, I'll say, wise counsel? So you go to church a whole bunch of times and people tell you about how they've heard from God who told them to do this, or God showed them a vision, and now they've started this business. And so as you're approaching things, we're going to take things to God in prayer, but tell me about that. Tell me about the role of the voice of God in how making payroll this week.
Yeah. I think if we go into things, so there's a few books in the Bible that I really linked on, right? So James is one, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, which talk a lot about business. And I think every business owner should read those pretty routinely. But for me, I go back to the Word of God every day, right? And I made a vow to myself not step out of bed until I've read Scripture. And I'm not saying 47 scriptures or 12 books, right? Some just a verse of the day. But I try to let that guide me every day. And I thought, hey, I want you to put this in front of me, put your word in front of me, it'll be a lamp to my feet. And to me, that's really, God, this is your business, right? I had, in a pretty low part of one of my business endeavors one time, a minister came to me and he's like, and I was telling him, man, it's just, you're kind of rough. And I was kind of bending. And he said, it really seems like you're holding God with a really tight fist. He said, I want you to pray that you will open your hand, and God, whatever you want to put into it, whatever you want to take out of it, but it's yours, right? You're being a full steward of it. And I've prayed that almost every day since then. Like, God, whatever you have, good, bad, learning opportunities, wealth creation, opportunity to speak into somebody's life, put it in my hand or take it out. It doesn't need to be there. And I have really let that kind of guide a lot of what I've accomplished.
Okay, man, that's great. I appreciate that. So tell me about, actually, I'm just pause here and say, when we get toward the end, we're certainly going to open this up to the audience. And so if you have a question or a comment, cue those up, put them in the chat. And Chris Ann will be monitoring that and let us know that you've got some input or a question. Tell me about the biggest test of your integrity.
Integrity? Man, no. So I have had a few opportunities in business. I had one, and I think you have the historical aspect maybe of people offering themselves, right? Just a weird concept. And not we're going to test my integrity, but I was like, nah, we're good, right? We're good. That's one reason we do keep cameras around our offices at all times. But probably one of the biggest, I had a client come to our investment firm office one time with, it's like a $700,000 check, right? And it was made out to Taylor Kovar. Oh. And that's a big no-no in the finance world, right? Yeah. Especially made out to the investment organization. Yeah. And it would have been really easy for me just to take that and call it a day. Yeah. Right? I mean, I could have been in Mexico right then. But there's been a couple of times like that where some big opportunities have come in my lap where if there weren't that voice of God, that voice of morals and ethics and everything else in the background, it would have been very easy to lose my integrity. Yeah. That's what you were looking for, but
it served up on a silver platter like that. Yeah. So as you experience success, a good portion of life's hurdles go away. Mm-hmm. How do you stay humble while walking that journey through success? Because it's got the ups and downs, but
it does. Yeah. life has a way of keeping us humble sometimes. So one of the things that I've done from the very beginning is, like we obviously pay tithes, but also a charitable contribution. So even when we were younger and we were dirt poor, we had a separate account that every paycheck we put money in, that was just to help others, not to give to the church, to give to missions, right? Which is great. I'm not knocking that, not to write to the United Way, I mean, even though that is, but it was to make a real life impact. And we had the funds there set aside from day one. And we continue to do that now, where that money is there for, we see somebody that's, needs food, or they need shelter, or we hear about somebody's house burned down, or we have opportunity to speak life into somebody's life right then. That's what those funds are used for. And that's really helped. And then, look back all the business failures I've had, right? We made, I've been blessed to make a lot of money, and I've been blessed with learning opportunities to lose lots and lots of money. And those swings, when you're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 figures swings, it really sticks with you, right? To keep you humble. Okay, God, you're right. I didn't do this. Yeah, you did this, and I lost all that. That was me. And so realize I'm not Superman, right? I'm not perfect.
So what's the dumbest thing you've ever done?
Dumbest thing. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Or the Darbies. No, so usually, and we're all young.
I can tell you where to get a bigger trailer than mine.
Okay, all right, cool. No, that's by far the dumbest. Yeah. When I look back at the decisions I've made that cost me a lot of money, it was always to try to impress someone else. Okay. There's that saying of buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people that
you don't even like,
right? Or you don't like, right? And that's usually every stupid decision has been that. Okay. It's been a pride, right? And pride comes before a fall, right? And it's been
wise man said that.
Yeah, right. So that to me, that's always been, when I look back at failures that I've had, it's always tied to pride. Hey, look at me, right? I'm gonna build this because I can, or I'm gonna do this because I can.
Drive
and
this
look
car.
at me. And it's always
okay.
Not turned out the best.
So what responsibility comes with success and wealth?
I think the responsibility is to not keep it to yourself, right? I came into this world dirt poor. I lived in a converted barn, not a barndominium, converted barn, right?
Okay.
In the middle of
so
nowhere.
not chicer.
No. Like, I vividly remember a cow breaking into our house, right, and a hog breaking into our house.
Home,
yeah, right? really. And so I got very, very poor roots. And to me, it's about getting back, right? And God teaches that, and also it goes back to that principle of serving with open hand. Yeah, God, you gave this to me to use and bless others, right? It's not about me. How can I impact someone else's life? And to me, that's the big thing with our big responsibility is use me as a funnel, right? Just let it flow through me. I don't care. I can't take it with me. I want to make sure I'm taken care of. I want to make sure my kids are taken care of. And a wise man leaves and inherits his children's children. I want to make sure I'm taking care of things. But I think that can very easily crawl into a space where it shouldn't be. And so for us, it's really, how can I go back? How can I serve others? How can I lead generously? And not with an iron fist.
Okay. That's the second to the last question, but I want to come
we
back
got
to
a
the
question.
audience.
We got a question over here in the chat.
Yeah.
Did you want to read it or want me to read it?
You go for it.
Okay. How did God lead you into entrepreneurship instead of what some might consider a traditional ministry path? And at what point did you realize your business was more than a career and actually part of your calling?
Oh, I think it's really hard for kingdom-minded entrepreneurs. I felt this my entire life, maybe, where I was supposed to go into ministry, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do. But that wasn't my calling. And so even though, I've taught lessons, I've done Sunday school, I've been a youth pastor, I've done other things, I know that my calling is to be an entrepreneur and to lead from that direction. It does not mean it's one or the other, right? I know that unless something changes, I'll never be a pastor, but I can be a tremendous help to the church that I'm part of and other churches around, right? Even doing things like this where I donate a ton of my time helping other churches. I built businesses just to help other churches and expand the gospel. It's really how do you make your your job, right, or your business, your calling. And for me, it has to be intentional.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
Yeah.
Even in our coffee shop, and our coffee shop is one where it's very easy for me to give out free coffee or to put scriptures out there to do things, but it is giving action toward being intentional. And that's really been my word for this year is I'm being intentional with my time, and really being an entrepreneur, you get to be intentional. You're trying to track profits, you're trying to track expenses, and especially if you have business partners, there's all these kind of different things. But can we be intentional about making this more than just an investment firm, more than just a home health agency, more than just a whatever, and you have to be intentional with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for the question. Again, I'll give you another opportunity here in just a moment, but what's the smartest thing? What's the best move you've ever made?
Best move I ever made. Oh man, it's a good question. Best move I ever made was letting my wife, and I said we're very much a team, but letting her be able to speak into my life in a way without feeling that she's attacking me.
Yeah, without being defensive.
Without being defensive, right? Because
Yeah.
she wasn't in the business day in, day out, and she's not, but letting her be able to speak into me.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really hard as entrepreneurs. There's a thing, I'm a professor at Stephen F. Austin State University, right? We talk about small business owner syndrome.
Yeah.
SBOS. We know what's best, right? And we don't like it when someone calls us out on it. And really, I think the smartest thing to me was realizing I am not perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And letting, I say her, but it could be other people as well. But my wife's been really good at saying, hey, listen, I really feel like we're getting, the worst of you or the leftovers. We're getting the leftovers of you, right?
Yeah.
And I think your priorities are out of line here. And once, it definitely caused some conflict initially, but once I was open to that, I realized, hey, she has my best interest. She's praying for me. God's talking to her differently. He's talking to me.
Yeah.
That honestly probably the smartest thing I ever did. And that really helped my pride. Right? There were several big things where she was just like, I think that's pure pride. I think that was pure. You can say it was bad luck, right? And we like call it bad luck. You like that was just pure pride. And I say giving her and a couple other people the authority to speak into my life, smartest thing.
Yeah. Very good.
She's not speaking into your life unless you pay really well. But I'm sure we can work it out, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So our cadence for the year is in odd numbered months. We're doing a devotion. Last month we had Brother Christopher Green. Even number of months we're doing successful entrepreneurs, and so I'm really excited about our April speaker. You don't know who it is.
I don't.
But I'd like you to pose a question to them.
Pose a question to them.
So what would you want to know from another successful entrepreneur?
Yeah. What is one thing you did this week to change someone's life?
Okay.
Right. I think that's where we talk about do as I do. Right now, as I say, like, can you look back on this past week? And I think we look back years, like, oh, well, I helped this person or I did this, but what have you done recently to help change somebody's life?
Great. I appreciate that question. So last opportunity for those of you that have joined us via Zoom. Questions, comments, always open to sudden emotional outbursts before we turn it back to.
Yeah, I love a good cry session. Yeah, I'm here for it. Now, I'm an open book. I love meeting with other kingdom-minded entrepreneurs who are taking time out of their day to do things like this. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions now or after.
Last chance.
Well, let's ask this question. So, Taylor, you co-authored a book. Tell us a little bit about that and what made you decide to co-author that.
Yeah, so we have 2 or 3 books, right, that are out. I've done some of my own and some my wife and I wrote together. And part of it was as we were building credibility within the space, a book is a great way to do that. Putting author behind your name opens up doors, as many doors as you kind of want. So as John mentioned, we've been in Forbes and MSNBC and Yahoo, and we were interviewing Focus on the Family, right, which is tens of millions of listeners a week. And a lot of those opportunities came about by writing a book. And so that was, and promoting it, obviously, but that was probably the driving force. It was, I'll say it was selfish. I mean, obviously, I think it's a good book, right? I think people should read it or read them. I've several of them. But it really was, how can I grow my business? How can I put spotlight there? And what doors can this open up? Because I think all of us pray for open doors. If we're not, we should.
Yeah.
All right, open doors. God, open doors for me.
So how many people have read your book?
Oh man, at least
We know your mom now.
I hope, right?
Yeah,
She
your
bought
mom.
it. I'm hoping at least 3.
Yeah,
We get a little royalty check, nothing crazy. So I'm venture at least 3 or 4. You can listen to it on YouTube about the people who scalped it. Where you get the cliff notes.
So we had talked a little bit earlier, and I'd made the same that I need to write a book, not because I have any premonitions that anybody's going to read it, but something key that you said was, as you're out promoting it, is it gives you something to talk about.
It does.
And I can only call you up so many times and say, hey Taylor, let's talk about successful entrepreneur, but it opens up doors for you by having that book. And so I think that as I've thought about it, I think the traditional mark of success, and therefore reason to do it, is how many people are going to read it.
Yeah.
When in fact, as an entrepreneur, that's not necessarily the case.
It's not.
You become the subject matter expert in the field that, at the beginning of the offer, at the beginning of this, I should have said he's a mogul who's written a book.
Books.
Oh, see.
So I started my first book, right? And most people were like, this ain't even a book, it's a pamphlet. I mean, it's maybe like 30 pages, it's real thin, but it's called Lessons on Wealth. It was just 10 lessons, right, about money that was geared toward high school students, college kids. That led into writing 5 Money Personalities book, and then 5 Money Conversations. And then we have a couple more coming out this year. One is A is for Assets. So it's a kid's book, a kid's coloring book about money. And then we have one called Powerful Prayers for Business Owners, right? Because I think there's a lot of devotions that are out there, but this is one that it was born out of my own suffering, right? And pleadings before God. And it was like, hey, this is the situation I'm facing. I'm walking into this big meeting, I lost this client, and just prayers from the heart. And so, next time you have me on, right, we'll have a few more things to talk about. But it does. It gives you more things to talk about. It shines a light back to hopefully Christian businesses.
Absolutely. All right. With that, we're going to turn it back to you, Chris Sam.
All right. Very good. Anyone else have any other questions for him? Okay. Wow. That was quite insightful. It's pretty interesting to hear where you've gone and what paths that has opened and all those neat things like that. So with that being said, if we don't have any other questions, we'll give us a little bit of information on the next couple of these events. So I'll let Matthew mention those.
All right. So our next one is Tuesday, March 24th at 12:30 Central Time. And then we'll have April 28th. That one's going to be Brandon and Rachel Knight. The speaker for March is pending right now. So stay tuned for that one.
Right, exactly.
We're waiting for confirmation. So far, it's going to be the 4th Tuesday of every month at 12:30.
Yep. So. And then over in the chat has all of the links if you're looking to connect with any of the stuff that we've got out there on the website, or if you want to connect with somebody in the chat today. Would you say your book names again there, Taylor? I'll type them in real quick.
Yeah, so we have Lessons on Wealth, and then also 5 Money Personalities, and 5 Money Conversations, all under Kovar on Amazon, somewhere on there. So
5 Money Personalities and 5 Money what?
Conversations.
Conversations. Okay.
I think it's actually 5 Family Money Conversations or something. I don't know, but
okay.
It's great. If you got kids, you need to read it. Yeah. I can't remember the title, but you need to read it. So yeah.
And you said they're all on Amazon.
They are. Yeah.
So if somebody typed in your name, they should be able to find it.
That's right. It's on Target.
Oh, you still there? Did we lose you guys?
We think we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. For a minute, we lost you. So, okay. Well, that's wonderful. I put them in the chat there real quick. So anyone have any other comments or thoughts? before we finish up for the day? We're going to end up early today. You aren't long speakers. John, you're going to have to work on your question limit.
No, we're working on our short form.
That's
Hey,
right.
we like that. We're all busy people, right? So, all right.
Right.
Well, again, thanks so much for being with us, Taylor. And John, thanks for doing the interview. That was a fun fun format for us to use. So, and thank you to everybody for being on today. Oh, yep. A couple of people said they're glad that we moved it to Tuesdays. That's cool. And hopefully that works going forward. And Matthews does a phenomenal job of keeping you all in touch and sending stuff out on that. I appreciate the help on that one. So with that being said, until next month, hey, everybody have a good one. And we hope to see you. And bring a friend next month too.